Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Planner's Knowledge Pop-Up Vodcast. I'm making sure that we are going live in all spaces and places. All right, we're good there. Hello and welcome. And as you enter the room, please be sure to say hello and let us know where you are chiming in from. Now, some of you might be like, well, Dr. Wall, she was just on your show last week. She was on your show, Sisters in Harmony, last week, Sisters for Harmony. Yes, she was, right? But she was so great, I had to bring her back as soon as possible because we sure enough did not get finished talking. And this will not be the last time you see her as well. So, welcome to Planters Knowledge pop up vodcast for those who are new to Planters Knowledge. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It is a space where we interview authors and we find out about their genres. We find out about their author's journey, and we also find out a little bit about them. All right. And the goal, of course, is to encourage others to be authors. How many of you have said, I have a story I want to tell, or somebody say, you should write a book? And you're like, okay, I don't know what to write my book about. I don't know where to even start. This is why I do these interviews. I've had the opportunity to talk with authors who write horror, who write mystery, who write paranormal romance, who write, as they called it, adult romance. I called it smut. So they and they co-signed it. So I've had a chance self-help, self-love, even digital money demystified. So go back, check out the playlist. If you look under the Planner's Knowledge playlist on my YouTube channel, Ask Dr. Walls 525, you will see the different interviews that have been done so far. And we have so many that are coming up. I actually will be talking with another author this Friday. Her name is Carol Brown, and she has a long history of doing research and writing and performance around Harriet Tubman and Harriet Tubman's leadership. So, y'all know, as a leadership coach, I can't wait to dive into all of that right there. And she also recently has been part of Lisa Nichols, a Lisa Nichols cohort. So she graduated from her certificate program, and she's also a part of an anthology. So we'll talk with Carol Brown on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But tonight we get a chance to have Dr. Bailey come back. And Dr. Bailey's book is called Love Thy Neighbor. She didn't have to tell me anything more than that. Love thy neighbor. I have loved some of my neighbors, so I cannot wait to find out about this. If you have not seen the interview with her that we did in Sisters for Harmony last week, hey Leslie, check out the replay and get your pen and papers ready. Y'all know I do not play when it comes to that because there are going to be things that are going to be said that you're going to want to either remember for self or you're going to want to make sure you pass on to others. And so without further ado, we welcome the one, the only. Yeah, I'm gonna give her a whole setup here. The one, the only, a tambourine shake welcome to Dr. Nia Bailey. Hello.
Hi, that was wonderful. Thank you. You are hilarious.
Look, we're gonna have the whole sound effect. Right, and do all of
You
that
are
as
so
well.
funny. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
I am doing well, girl. I've been zipping all over the place since I woke up this morning. But I was like, I got to slide. God bless my cousin. So big shout out and thank you to Shade because I called her. I was in traffic. I said, girl, can you please get my computer downstairs, put
Mhm.
it in my office because I'm a legit slide in from the car. The chair should have been at the door. So I could have just been like, right.
You are busy. Oh my goodness.
Look, when I get a chance to be out there in them streets, I got to take advantage of it.
I can dig that. And at
But
least it wasn't raining today.
thank goodness. And
Mhm.
as a caretaker, right? I caretake for my mom, so I have to make sure I maximize my time out. So, but
Absolutely.
this is about you and your book and your author's journey. So please, for those who did not get a chance to meet you last week on Sisters for Harmony, please tell them a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Nia Bailey, Nia Imani Bailey. I'm from West Philly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a radiation therapist. I received my doctorate from Westchester University in public administration. I have 2 documentaries, this book, and another book coming, and I'm a child of God.
All right. And that's it, folks. And we're done for the day. So that's
That's it.
if that doesn't inspire you and motivate you there, look. So let's back up with all of it. So, radiation therapist, what does that mean? I was telling somebody earlier, I said, she's a radiation therapist. And they were like, wait, what is a radiation therapist?
The cancer. That's radiation therapy. We kill the cancer
Come on.
in the primary site. So, or the metastasized site, but usually primary. So you have breast cancer, we're treating the breast, prostate, head and neck, brain, wherever the cancer is, we're getting it.
Excellent. Excellent. And what made you choose that as a field?
Yeah, so my dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer when I was a sophomore in high school. So I had to get in the same field that helped him. But also, a lot of people in my family have cancer, a variety of cancer. So I definitely felt it would be impactful to get in this field.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So you've done radiation therapy. You mentioned also 2 documentaries. What's up with them? What are they called? How can people find them?
Yes. So the first documentary is called A Letter to My Sisters, a breast cancer documentary for young women. And we were able to interview 3 phenomenal women who were unfortunately diagnosed with breast cancer, but they are doing well now. And they tell their story. So the first woman, her name is Janique now McGriff. The second woman, Brenda Durantes, and the third woman, Lynn Mitchell. And right now you can see it via screening. So you can always email me and I can send it your way.
Okay.
And the second one is A Letter to My Sisters, the Erica Jo Robinson story. And that's premiering at our expo, All About Cancer and Wellness Expo, April 27th of this year. So if you want to see it, it's a free event.
And tell me this, with the screenings, do you have any screening events, or if people want to do a screening event, is that something that you would come out and do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Just email me and we can do it. Absolutely.
All right. So that is good to know. All right. So here she is. She is a helper, a healer, an informer, and an author. How did this come to pass?
Oh, Father, help us. My friend Najee Grant, he is the CEO of Daydream Creative Studios. And he was like, Nia, you got to write a book. And I'm like, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to block you. Like, no. And I think it came about when, God humbled you and he's like, you're going to do what I say. So I had hip surgery. And instead of watching the Golden Girls and just kind of do nothing, not only did I create the first documentary, but I started to write this, Love Thy Neighbor. And it was very therapeutic in writing it because it's not necessarily my story. It's my mother's story. It's my brother, my mother's, my father's story and how she inspired us and poured into us. It was very therapeutic, but I started writing that when I couldn't really walk. So he was the one who pushed me and I just fell in love with the process.
Look at that. Look at that. So let's look at that. You found your inspiration, and then how did the content start to come to you?
That's a great question. Before my grandmother passed, she always talked about this form of love, agape love. And she expressed that to me. That's God's sort of compassion towards us, his, unapologetic love towards us. And she wanted me and my family to give that to other people. So the name Love Thy Neighbor came because you are to love your neighbor as yourself. And hopefully you love yourself enough so that you can love your neighbor, right? Yes. So I just started to think about what my grandmother, and they called her Smiley, what she meant to me, to us. What she gave to us was a lesson to never judge anybody. did that by, and I'm just thinking about my grandmother Smiley and
Yes.
how she did that was to help others. And one of the
Mhm.
ways that she would help others is to help homeless people. So we would walk, she was from Inner East, South Carolina, but she moved to Philadelphia, and we would walk past homeless people and she would pray with them. She would ask
Mhm.
them if they were hungry and give them some food. So,
Mhm.
and she always made sure that they were seen. She
Mhm.
ignored them, she never shooed them away. And that's what really resonated with me. And that's what I wanted to share in this.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
the reason why it's a children's book is I think it's very important to teach kindness and not to
Mhm.
judge. We live in a world now where everybody's so judgmental and you
Mhm.
don't know people's stories, so it's not good to judge. Don't
Mhm.
judge by its cover.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Mhm.
really wanted to share how special Smiley was to us and
Mhm.
give her to others.
Mhm.
We impart kindness on others.
That is so beautiful. As you're saying that, I'm just thinking, right, we can get inspiration from so many places, and the power and the importance of the follow through,
Yes.
because the person could have said what they said and you could have flagged them off.
Mhm.
The lessons that your grandmother taught, you could have taken them and kept them for yourself.
Yes.
What was that catalyst for you to say, I'm not going to just hold these seeds, right? These nuggets for myself. I am going to share them with the world.
I think when not only when people keep bothering you to do it, when God has purposed something in your heart to do, it's
Yes.
I don't even say God nags you, but it's like it just can't you just can't get it out of your brain. It's like I just
That's
have
right.
let me do let me be obedient as a
Yes.
robot eyes and
Yes.
do it. And it turned out that it's something that needed to be done. So it's like,
Yes.
oh, you're right, sorry.
Right. Right. Right.
But that's what it was, you
Yeah.
know.
No, it's funny that you say that. In my second book, Live by the Spirit, I'm going to see if I
Mhm.
can find the passage real
Mm,
quick. It's called, I entitled it. So this book came out in 2014.
I
I
know that's
meant I mentioned that because it's actually story number 10 in the book,
right. Uh-huh.
and it's titled Call of Duty. So,
Mm,
people with the game and so forth, right? This is Call of Duty. And so it says about 14 years ago, I was attending a workshop and heard someone say I was quote unquote called to do.
mm,
Later that same day, I heard someone else say I was called to do.
mm,
Each time I heard the phrase, I was called, I felt a rumbling inside me, deep within my belly. I couldn't take it anymore. So I
mm,
leaned to the front row in front of me, excused myself, and asked what they meant by I was called. The people smiled and said, God is directing me to do something, and I have a calling. At that moment, I knew I had a calling too. And then
mm.
I go on with the rest of the story.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And it's almost like I, though I wanted to be obedient, finally, it was more so making sure that my grandmother's legacy stayed alive. And by doing that, you can't keep it within the family. You have to share it.
Come
You
on.
know, we loved her so much, but I want the world to know why she was so special to us. Not
Mhm.
just because she was my grandmother. There's people who are blood, and it's just like, well, if I had a choice, you wouldn't be.
Mhm. Mhm.
But she was
Mhm.
a magnificent person. If I had a choice to pick a grandmother again, it would always be her.
Mm.
And it's very important to share that with others.
Mhm. Y'all get your tissues ready because she's ready. She's poking them. Y'all know I'm a clinician, so I always keep tissues on hand. Like I always got some.
You're
Look,
ready. I love it. I love it. I love it.
that's so powerful, and I think as people are listening, if you take a moment and think about any legacies,
Mm,
right? Any people that have been in your life, blood or not blood, right? That you want to continue forward. Take a moment, write their names down,
mm,
right? Let's just take a moment and honor them. When you ask me how was my day, and I said, "Oh, I'll share with you afterwards." Part of
yes.
my day, literally, what I was running in from was learning about the history and the legacy of Reverend Dr. Leon A. Sullivan
Mm,
out of North Philadelphia.
mm,
And he was the Reverend of, I believe it was Zion Baptist Church,
okay.
but he is the reason why Progress Plaza down on Temple's campus exists.
Wow.
So back in the 60s, exactly, right? And that's how my 1:30 meeting went until 5 o'clock.
Stop it.
So I pulled in the Progress Plaza at 1:27. Yes, I left Progress Plaza at 5:07.
So wait, tell me how it came about.
Look at you.
You can't leave us hanging.
I can. I was told that I do that very well. So,
Please no. Not today.
because we're focusing on you.
I know, but there's always a tie-in. So
There is, right? And the tie-in here is about legacy.
yeah.
Okay. And the importance of continuing a legacy. And so here, he actually, it's called the 10 and 36 plan. He had said if he could get, I forget how many people it was like $10 from a certain number of people for like 36 months, that would lead up to a certain amount of money. And over time, it morphed into more and more people where he was able to accumulate excuse me, because everybody who sold into it has a share.
Mm.
And then they bought the land where Progress Plaza
That's amazing.
is. Right. And so now moving forward, from that time to current day, I legit just left.
Uh-huh.
This, the land is still owned by his trust, so to
Stop
speak.
it.
Yes. And so so it's Black owned land. And then they have tenants, right? And there's 14 businesses that exist in Progress Plaza. It was the first shopping center that was Black owned in the United States.
Mm. What?
Yes. Yes. Right here in Northfield. I'm like, I went to Temple. See, I rep my cherry and white.
Oh,
So okay. I went to Temple. I was like, did I miss that part of the story?
I never heard that. My whole family went to Temple, so they never told me that.
Come on.
Wow.
Yes. So I had a chance to meet with the people in charge of the profit and the nonprofit side of the business. I had a chance to go into the Leon A. Sullivan building, which is that big white building on Temple, on Broad Street, right next to Temple's campus, and walk in there. And I was like, okay, ancestors, y'all got me walking this walk today. I'm not sure what, this is about. I'll process it further.
Mhm.
But as a legacy continuer myself, from my grandfather to my father forward, the legacy piece is so important. So that's why I'm saying to people, take a moment and identify whose legacies need to continue, right? Some
That's the
people's
word.
stuff needs to stop, but other people's stuff needs to continue and evolve.
That's a word.
Go ahead.
I mean, and that's all Smiley. I'm telling you. Like, I just think about when she was 17 or 18 years old, she took her father's car, crashed it. Now, my great-grandfather, Jurel Sr., bought a Ford every 2 years.
Okay.
Crashed his pride and joy. Promised as she was hiding behind her mother, Marie, promised when she was 17, 18 years old that she would never drive again, and she never drove again. So that legacy of promise keeping, and the only person that I know that has kept a promise like that is the person that I call my savior, and we call him the promise keeper.
Yes.
And it's that legacy that you keep your word. Your word is your bond.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. If I said that at 17, I might not do it for 2 weeks.
Right.
And teach me how to drive again so I don't crash your car. But just that she realized what that did and just kept that. And it's just her entire legacy.
Yeah.
Was keep your word, was whatever religion you are, be all in that. Respect your ancestors, respect your elders. There's always something to learn from other people. Do not judge. And that's the legacy that lives in all of us, that she told all of us. And whether we heard it and listened then,
Yes.
time goes on, it's like, oh, she did say that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
the older that I get, I'm like, she passed in 2007. Like, darn it, I wish you were here now to talk to me some more. But can I tell
Yeah.
you, she does talk to me.
Come
How?
on.
She had a Bible that she probably had 37 million Bibles. This Bible, I think she had it in 1997. So I
Mm-hmm.
was 5. My brother was 12.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In certain scriptures, she has our name next to it
Oh.
because she knew what we would need. Of course, she got me
Oh.
next to honor your mother and father, whatever. No,
Right. 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 Right.
but certain, how Jesus fed the masses with,
Yes.
fish, and that's how she speaks to us because she knew that
Yes.
at certain points of me and my brother's
Yes.
life, and let me just say, his name is there a little too much. My name needs to be there more. Okay, that we would need these certain passages
Mm.
through.
Ah, I told y'all get y'all tissues.
And that's the legacy again.
Yes.
She
Come on.
knew that whenever we would open it or not,
Yes.
eventually when we did,
Yes.
we would want to read more because we see her handwriting. That's her
Mm.
speaking to us.
Yes.
So
Yes.
to your point, that's a legacy that it needs to keep giving. It needs to
Yeah.
keep, we couldn't hold it within the family.
Yes.
It needs to be out into
It
the
needs,
world.
yeah. And what a great resource. I'm gonna honor Leslie. Leslie said, tambourine, please. Right. So there you go, Les. There you go. We got you. So what a fantastic tradition to share with others and for others to consider to adopt,
Mhm.
right? To open up a wisdom text, be it the Bible, be it the Quran, be it the Bhagavad Gita, whatever, like you said, to whatever religion it is, and or
Uh-huh.
right to compile, right, a list of life scriptures that
Mhm.
have worked for you that you want to pass on to others. What a beautiful legacy. Thank you, Smiley. That's amazing.
I know, and she got it from Mother Smiley. Her mother was a Smiley, a
Hmm.
little short thing, and her legacy is strong. I just feel like I stand on the shoulders of
Yeah,
my ancestors. My
yeah.
entire family does. I mean, my great grandmother would iron the robe of the Grand Wizard.
Mm.
I mean, like what?
Wow.
And
Wow.
she was black and proud. Let me just tell you. And the story is that she was like, really, like what's up with that?
Uh-huh.
And he said, well, this is South Carolina. He said, well, I don't kill your people in South Carolina. We do our business in North Carolina. And she was like, well, they're still my people. But this is the legacy. So
Mm.
my grandmother would tell me this. My mother would tell us this. And it's like, don't let anybody, you are black and proud.
Yes.
You stand up for yourself. You do not be silent. You get your
Yes.
education. You do this, that, and the third. So you never have to go back to ironing,
Come on.
doing somebody else's work. No, you are the
Mm.
head, not the tail. So that
Mm-hmm.
legacy of leadership, that
Mm-hmm.
we had to do what we had to do so that you can stand. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's not move backwards. Let's continue
Yes.
to pass the baton and move
Yes.
forward.
Yes.
That legacy is
Yeah.
also instilled in us. Mhm.
Yeah. You done named about an additional two, three, four books that you could write.
Oh, Father.
Come on. And start a whole publishing company called Smiley Productions or
Oh,
Smiley Publishing.
Father, help us. Okay.
Let Leslie said, I was blessed to have my grandmother's Bible that also has her thoughts and highlighted
I
scriptures in
love
it.
it.
I'm thankful that my mom kept it safe. Yeah, thanks, Les. Definitely.
I love it.
Definitely. As I was cleaning out my parents' house, I
Mhm.
actually came across it was my father's grandmother's Bible. When I tell you that thing felt so heavy and sacred, and it was just like, oh my goodness, I knew I had found a keepsake. Hello. So we are talking about, someone asked, what's this live about? So we are talking with Dr. Nia Bailey, who is a radiation therapist, and her book is Love Thy Neighbor. And we're talking about her author's journey and how she got to writing this book. And in the process, she shared about her grandmother and the impact that she's had on her life. So the book is called Love Thy Neighbor. So tell us about the book again. Give us a little bit. And then also, would you read a little excerpt for us?
Sure. So,
All
Love
right.
Thy Neighbor is my journey of how I love my neighbors. And it's how she poured into me, and she poured into my brother and my mother and my father. And it's an interactive children's book because we really wanted to teach this concept to children, because the earlier you get them, then hopefully they'll carry it through
Mm-hmm.
teenage years and adulthood and pass them on as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very short, very short. It says, Smiley came from a small town called Emery, South Carolina. Although they did not have a lot, they had God and love. She learned from a small age that helping others was essential. And so there's like, it's a coloring book. So,
So fantastic.
look, yes. As she migrated to Philadelphia, she continued her efforts of helping those who were less fortunate by helping and giving to those in her community and church. Eventually, she would teach me, those same values.
Mm.
Whenever Smiley and Nia would see a homeless man or woman, they would smile, offer them words of agape love,
Mm-hmm.
give them food or money.
Mm-hmm.
As the years went by, Smiley gained her wings, but Nia continued her efforts. Nia and her family would randomly help those who simply needed help.
Mm-hmm.
Nia, me, created a nonprofit dedicated to homeless men and women. True story.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, Narda, dedicated her life to feeding and nourishing the masses. True
Mm.
story. She has a business more than kale, meal prep, and catering.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, my brother, dedicated his life to decluttering and helping others with financial literacy and freedom. True story. He has a business, Forest Hills Junk Removal.
Mm-hmm.
Curry dedicated his life to being the voice for the voiceless. True story.
Mm-hmm.
Miley's endeavors sparked a dedication in the lives of her family that ultimately benefited the world. Her legacy, therefore, lives on. And
Mm-hmm.
the center of the book is just interactive. It asks questions like, Nia wants to give clothes and food to the homeless. How should she start? How much money should she raise? Questions like that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very interactive and getting the children thinking. But it's a small glimpse of what Smiley deposited into us and
Yeah.
what we're giving to others.
Yeah. I see Smiley was a farmer because she planted a lot of seeds.
You did, honey.
Okay. And you are planting seeds. And what I like about your book is that it is simple
Yes.
yet complex,
Mm.
right? So it's simple because people look at it and they see it as a coloring book.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
when they read it, they realize there's so much depth
Mhm.
and weight to it.
Mhm.
And the power and the impact of it is endless. And the way that you just broke it down, how those same lessons, right, how it impacted you and the work that you do and continue to do, the work that your brother does, the work that your mother does. What a powerful story.
Amazing. You're right. It took us all different journeys, but we're still honoring her. You know, my
Mm-hmm.
mother would tell me she remembers cooking in the kitchen with my grandmother, and sort of not like she didn't measure anything. My grandmother did. It was just she had the recipe. Like her ancestors would tell her, "Stop. That's enough. Enough
Yes.
seasoning salt. Enough this. Enough this." You know, and that's how my mother cooks too.
Mm.
And it's healthy things and it's plant based. And I'm like, "How do
Mm-hmm.
you cook this?" And she's, "How much sugar?" And she's like, "You just gotta feel it." And the older I get, I'm like, "Okay, I'm feeling it. This tastes good." You know, so.
Yes.
And my brother took that by, he teaches people financial literacy and
Mm-hmm.
being an entrepreneur. And, he had the business for Hills Junk Removal, but it's so much more than that. It's decluttering people's spaces and mind.
Yes.
And that's what Smiley, you got to get what's off of your mind. And she would say, get your mind on Jesus, but you need to just, mental health is so important.
Mm-hmm.
your mind is not in the right state, nothing else is going to be.
That's right.
That's how my brother took it.
Yeah.
And although my father, it was her son-in-law, he took it and ran with it. My dad would, somebody could rob a bank, and my dad would say, "Well, how did they grow up?" I'm like, I don't know. And that's the kindness that my grandmother would say. And even the day that she died, she had cancer. She had multiple myeloma, and her bones were breaking, and she was in so much pain. And every time you would call her, she would answer, "Praise the Lord." I'm gonna tell you this: if I'm in pain, I'm not saying that, and no disrespect, but don't call me.
Yes.
But she just took that, and what she poured and imparted to us, she took to her grave and beyond, and she imparted us, and we went into different avenues and areas, but doing the same thing, giving the smiley legacy and just passing that on.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. We have some people in Instagram, they're saying, "Hey, you ladies are amazing. Thank you." So yes, it's incredible. And now she's touching so many other people's lives. And so I know sometimes when people are thinking about, should I write this story? Shouldn't I write this story? Should I publish this book? Right? It's important because you're now touching other people's lives.
Yes. And I think it's so important. You should. If you feel comfortable enough to share that story, you should, because it's so therapeutic in writing it and in the process. It may be painful a little bit because, of course, I miss her. I'm writing this and I want to say, "Look," and then it's like, "Oh, I can't show you." So that's hard, but to be able to share that and to share your story is different. There's nobody like you. There's people may have similar stories, but no story is like yours.
Right.
And it's so important and impactful to share with others, because you never know how that's going to help somebody, save somebody.
Yes.
And in doing so, you're also helping yourself.
Yes.
Do it.
Yes. As you all are listening, if you have any questions about writing, about becoming an author, the author's process, any questions specifically for Dr. Nia or myself, please feel sure to put them in the chat. We will try to get to as many as we can. With your writing process, so you were inspired, the idea came to you, the words came to you. How did you decide, let me make this interactive, let me do a coloring book?
Naj and the illustrator Jody. I mean, I just sent her some pictures of what we look like. And I said, what is this? I mean, we look exactly like this.
Oh.
And they said, I like the word.
I know your mama.
They said, I like the words, but what do you think about it being interactive? And I'm always like, whatever. Okay, sure. And when she started drawing, I said, yes, that's exactly what it needs to be. It needs to be interactive. Children sometimes don't just want to read. They want to interact. They're visual. They're, getting involved into it. So it just made complete sense for it to be interactive. And not to have it for them to color. Like the front page is colored, but then that's it.
Yes.
So that was so important. And I'm glad I listened. I'm always like, whatever, but I'm glad I listened. And they were absolutely right.
Yeah. One person asked, they said they want to get their book edited. Do you think I should copyright my book before it's edited?
That's a great question. I think so. What do you think, Dr. Walls? I think so.
I think so as well. One of the things with working with the Copyright Office and copyright.gov, they are super responsive. You can always just call them or email them, but I'm usually good at getting somebody on the phone and ask them what they think, because I know, like with my next book that'll be coming out, I was just meeting with the illustrators this past weekend. Yes, so it will be ready very, very soon.
2024?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. They're making the corrections, and I'm going through it this week with one more fine-tooth rat tail comb, right, to make sure that it's all good. And then I'll probably release it probably around April or May. So, And so, with that, why did I bring that up? Girl, all your facial expressions,
I'm
they're
sorry.
making me giggle. I don't want you to stop.
Sorry, I'm so proud of you. Sorry.
Oh, that's what it was. So I had named the book one thing at first. So the book is called Careless, Clueless Cult.
You gotta explain that. That's
Okay.
deep.
So this is part of the Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny, a hip hop tale series.
That's funny.
And so it was originally Careless Cult, but
Okay.
then I realized that it focuses on social cues.
Mm.
So he was clueless in a
Mm.
lot of places, and the people were confusing his cluelessness
Okay.
with carelessness.
That happens every day. I think that happened 3 times today. Wow.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I ended up calling the copyright office because I sent it in for it to be copywritten.
Mhm.
And then I was like, oh no, I changed the title. Does this mean I need to buy a new copyright? And what the person explained to me, they said, no. They said, we're really focused on the content. Now, they were like, has any of the content changed? I said, no, the content's exactly the same. They said, then no. They said, the title, is not a big deal. So I said, okay, fine. Because all I did was add one word, but everything else is
Right.
still the same. So as far as getting it edited, I would say you could get it edited if you send a non-disclosure as
Mm-hmm.
well. And I would say I do that. I just had this conversation last night with all of my books, with my illustration team. I have them sign a non disclosure agreement. Also, with the people who do my voiceovers, I
I know
have them do a non disclosure as well. Go ahead.
that illustration team and what is happening?
We're elevating all the way up, right?
Well,
Go ahead.
how do you get your inspiration? Like, what made you like? You have a series.
Yes.
How? Why? Like, what?
How did it happen?
Why didn't it just stop one book? Like, yes.
Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. So it originally started out, I think I may have shared with you offline. So this is book number one, The Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny, the reunion. All right. A hip hop tale. It's called a hip hop tale because they're lyrical in nature. And part of the fun of the book is finding the rhyming pattern within each book. All of the books have a rhyming pattern. All
Mm.
right. So this book came about because it started out as a poem to my business and friend who's a mentor. Instead of buying him a birthday card, I wanted to give him something different. So I wrote him a poem. And in the poem, I dubbed him Froggy T.
Wow.
All right. Because he calls me Bunny. So I said, but
My
you're
mom
all
calls me Bunny, but go ahead.
See, look at that. Look at that. See, this is why we get along. That's part of it there. So he said you have so much energy. You have more energy than the Energizer Bunny. And so in the poem, I said, but you're always hopping along with me. So hey there, Lee Ernest. Um, so I said you're always hopping along with me. So now I W Froggy T. So when I read the poem, I said, if you flesh this out, this will make a really good children's story.
Mm.
And so that's what I did. Now I'm thinking it's a one and done. I'm going to surprise him and give him this when it's done. My intention was only to make one book to give to him for his birthday the following year. I wrote the poem in 2008.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know it was going to take me 12 years to find an illustrator.
Wow.
So I gave him the poem in 2008,
Uh-huh.
but I kept the idea that it would become a book to myself for
Hmm.
12 years. So when I finally got my illustration team, how I got my illustration team was because I knew I wanted to turn it into an animation. Now, over the 12-year journey, I decided I wanted an animation. Someone asked me, why does the animation have to come after the book? I said, it doesn't.
Hmm.
To
Hmm.
which then I called my husband. We know an animator. I said, I need a meeting with Milton as soon as possible. He sends Milton a message. Milton hits him right back. He says, I'm available whenever you want. I was at Rutgers at a publishing event. It was 7:30. I said, I'll be home by 9:45. Got on the couch, had a meeting with Milton. Milton started working on the animation. When I looked at the animation, now backtrack a little bit. In 2018, I had met an illustrator who did these beautiful illustrations for me, but I could never upload them.
Okay.
KDP wouldn't take them. So whenever I get pushback, what I receive is divine pushback like that, it's a not yet for me.
Understood.
And I don't push. After so many attempts, I recognize this is a divine block. And so I stopped.
That's a teaching moment.
Okay. So, right, because there's times where you are supposed to continue to push. It's about perseverance, determination, and strengthening that part of you. And then there's times where you recognize it's a divine block. This is why discernment becomes very important. All right.
Yes.
So now it's now 2020, March 11th, pandemic is happening, right?
Yeah.
It's the onset of it all. Now we're in the midst of the pandemic. He sends me the beginning parts of the animation, and the images in the animation aren't matching my illustrations as closely as I would like them to.
Sure.
So then I ask him, can you do the illustrations so that there's a better match? And of course, the answer was yes, because he has a full production animation team, and they're based out of St. Lucia.
Not only do you have a team, but it's international. But
yes,
go ahead.
yes. And so now, how you gonna flip this interview around on me? Sorry, y'all. This is supposed to be about her. Look,
It is, but I mean,
go for it. Come on.
no, this is. Go ahead.
Okay, fine. Okay. So, with that being said, yes, it's the pandemic. Business is shut down all over. As you can imagine, right, on a small island, tourism is king. And now tourism is shut down.
Wow. Yes. Completely.
Completely. People are locked inside. And here comes Froggy T and Bunny. Now it's going to make me cry. Here come Froggy T and Bunny to give people work, to help pour into an economy, because I had to pay for this stuff. This wasn't right. And giving people something to do and helping people live their life on purpose.
Wow.
And all this is happening. And again, Dr. Gordon doesn't know any of this is happening because I'm still thinking, I just want to give them a gift, not a whole thing. So when they start sending me the prototypes of everything, they send this picture. And when I saw this picture and I saw this water and I saw these hills, my mind, right, and this is Lily Pad Lane.
Yes.
And so there's something that happens before here. My mind opened up. And I said, oh my goodness, what's going on in the water? What's going on behind? And I literally felt my mind open up. And as soon as my mind opened up, the other books started coming out. So to answer your question, why did it not stop here? It didn't stop there, because my illustration team created this image.
Wow.
And then and then I started thinking about, who am I? Who is Dr. Gordon? I'm a leadership coach. He's a leadership coach. I'm a doctor of clinical psychology. I'm a former early childhood, elementary, and middle school teacher. I'm a former social skills consultant. Right now, I'm looking at, I'm bringing all of that together. What other stories can be told in a fun and engaging and an enlightening way? And they just said, bleh. And I said, as Lee Ernest knows, I have a phrase that says catch and carry, right? So, because how they talk about some things are taught, some things are caught.
Yes,
and my thing is everybody can't catch.
Right.
right? So we need to make sure you catch it and carry. We don't want to fumble stuff. That's why I tell people to write notes. That's why I always tell people get your pen and paper because I want you to catch and carry. I don't want you to catch something and then forget it. I want
Right.
you to carry it forward. Your grandmom, she taught y'all, she passed y'all stuff. She handed stuff over and wrapped your hands
Mhm.
around it. She
Mhm.
took the Bible and
Mhm.
she wrote inside the Bible. Yes, y'all, that's a Bible. She wrote inside the Bible to make sure y'all would catch it and carry it forward whenever you needed it for self
Yes.
and whenever you needed to give it for others.
And you know why you needed to tell that story?
Go ahead.
As I have in my phone, and I've probably had this in my phone for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to do a smiley animation. That's why you had to tell that
Come
story.
on now.
See?
Yes, I love it.
And but the same thing with you. Like you,
Mhm.
and this is a class in itself. Discernment. You knew not to push.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't tell you if anybody else or I went. This is going to happen today, right now. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't wait 12 months.
12 years. 12 years.
So how was that? Did you want it to happen year one, two, three?
I,
So how did you just rush
yeah.
12 years?
Well, here's the thing. I constantly asked every time I met a art teacher, right? Because I did a lot of social skills consulting in schools.
Sure.
So I would go into schools, I'd meet art teachers. I have friends who were artists. And so I was constantly asking, would I have this story? Would you help? Can you do this? And some people would say, that's not my type of art. I don't know. I'm scared I can't do it the way you want. I'm not ready yet. Da, 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 right. And I just accepted their truth because whoever was supposed to do it
Mm,
would be the ones to do it.
mm,
And because I know that, I'm not trying to convince somebody to do something they're not ready to do because I need it done, right? I need divine collaboration and partnership. And so one person started around 2012 and then they disappeared. I never heard from them again, no rhyme or reason.
how
And
did
so
that feel?
that was disheartening in the sense where it was disappointing because I was so excited that finally something was in progress because at that point I'm 4 years in, right? Then when I had the person and it was a random thing, I was vetting someone to work at a school, and while I was vetting them, they got a text from their wife and she had done an animation for a major company in Philadelphia. He was like, "Look at this." He shows it to me. I'm
Mhm.
like, does she do illustrations?" He said, "Yeah." So she did that first set of illustrations and they're fantastic. I still have them. They are absolutely fantastic. I love them. However, every time I went to upload them on the KDP, they wouldn't go. Everything else I've done on KDP goes up. Repeatedly this would happen. So I just said, okay, something's not finished. And I just accepted that.
Mhm.
Right. So again, it's looking at your patterns,
Mhm.
looking at how things work for you. For me, things happen easily and effortlessly,
Mm. Okay.
like meeting you.
Right. Right.
I just knew I had to come to that event on the
Right.
29th.
Right.
It was without question. I
Right.
didn't know why. I just knew. So, right. So it's discernment and
Mm.
it's obedience.
Mm. Yeah.
And these are muscles that you strengthen over time. I know some people listening like, what does this have to do with being an author? But to your point, it's all interconnected because when you are given something to write, my first book, The Greatest Soul Journey,
Mm.
I was on retreat by myself in Brazil. I woke up
Uh-huh.
after 5 days of just rest. I woke up and clearly heard it's time to write. And I was like, okay. I went out on the balcony and wrote all day long until I was told I was done.
What?
And then when I got finished, then I was told what to extract out of that huge, I mean, it's a lot of writing. And out came The Greatest Soul Journey. I compiled it and then I gave it to my host. And I said, do me a favor, would you read this? And she was a trainer, a physical trainer. She went into the guest bedroom. And when she came out, she was completely flushed, like she had worked out. She was like, I have never read anything like this before in my life. Like, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you come from, but this thing done changed my whole life.
Wow.
And that's how the greatest. So if I hadn't been obedient
Correct.
to that, and it's a workbook style journal, so it's short. It's food for thought, and then there's questions for you to answer because the book is 100% about you. It ain't got nothing to do with me.
Uh-huh.
It is 100% about you. So if you work the book, you work it. If you don't work it, you don't work it. It's your life,
Mhm.
right? So, but it is being obedient to the process. And as an author, that's it. As I'm doing these author interviews, people are saying it's like things are divinely downloaded and you become that channel
Yes,
through which that message is given.
absolutely. Can you teach discernment? Can you teach someone how to be obedient? Does that take time? Is
Yeah.
that
I think they're muscles.
okay?
Intuition is a muscle,
Mhm.
discernment is a muscle, obedience is a muscle. You have all types of opportunities. It's all about learning how to listen to your inner voice,
Mm.
right? There's Q said, great question.
Like, how do you practice that? You know?
Yeah, you learn to listen. You get a nudge, right?
Mhm.
First you have to know what does intuition feel like to you? What does it mean to you?
Mhm.
Right? When you go and do something and then something happens and you know that infamous line, I knew I shoulda, right? You start paying attention to those I knew I shoulda
Yes.
and you learn from that.
Mm.
So, did you get I'll give you a perfect example. I used to, Q said, I wish I could answer that. So I used to get ready to go out. I'm a clubber. I used to love to go to the club.
Yeah.
And so I would get ready to go out and
Mhm.
I would get to the front door and there was a mirror by the front door so I could check myself out. I'd look at myself and I'd be like, all right. And then I say, God forgive me. And I go out the door.
You're hilarious. That should be a book title.
It should be a compilation of people and their God forgive me stories.
I
I know.
love that. Oh my gosh.
So then I would go out and whatever stuff would ensue, right? And stuff. And then I come, on the ride back home, I come back home. I was like, why'd I even bother? Whether it was a good time, wasn't a good time, or something
Mhm.
popped off and
Mhm.
nothing crazy,
Right, right,
but
right.
nonetheless. And so I would go out and it would happen again. And then
Uh-huh.
one day I was in the process of going out. I looked in the mirror and I said, God, forgive me. And I heard myself. And here I go. You asking for forgiveness before you even walk out the door.
So what'd you do?
I said, Kat, every time you say, God, forgive me, either you don't like where you went, the food was bad,
Something.
something happened, it's a conversation you didn't want to listen to or being a part of. Like, girl, that's your signal, right? That's discernment.
Mm.
That's living and learning. You know what I did? I turned right around, took my shoes off, went back upstairs, changed my clothes, sat down on the couch, and watched television.
Wow.
And that was a wrap. So you have to learn, hence live by the spirit. You
Mm.
have to learn when
Yeah.
spirit is speaking to you.
Yes.
You have to learn how that works, right? So in Live by the Spirit, I have a couple stories. One is called When Spirit Speaks.
Mm.
One is called Spirit Language. One is called Partnering with Spirit.
Mm.
So you have to learn these things about yourself. I can tell you what works for me. So for instance, When Spirit Speaks, chapter 2,
I know that's
or
right.
story 2. As we look to make changes, accomplish goals, and or seek direction in life, it is important to be still and listen. By sitting still and becoming clearer on your goals and direction in life, guidance will come to you so that these goals are achieved. Many times we pray and ask for guidance and direction in life, but forget to be still and listen for the answers we seek. My mother used to say, when your mouth is open, your ears are closed.
Mm,
Therefore, if you close your mouth, your ears will open. Psalms 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God."
mhm.
As you live by the Spirit, you are partnering with something greater than yourself to live a life greater than you could ever think or imagine. Ephesians 3, verse 20, paraphrase. When we hear, we perceive a sound, but when we listen, we give our attention, wait attentively, and or follow directions. In A Course in Miracles, lesson 49 reminds us God's voice speaks to me all through the day. We have to learn how to discern the voice of spirit from our own internal and external chatter. As we practice listening to spirit, we are able to discern and heed divine direction. Many times people have good intentions for us, but
Mm.
it is important to remember that spirit has the greatest intentions for us. So the question is, do you want good, better, or the greatest?
Greatest.
Okay. It's really up to you. The choice is yours. If you decided on having the greatest for yourself, then I encourage you to practice being still and listening so that you can learn to live and be led by the Spirit. Just as with most skills in life, being still and listening are skills that need practice and will become stronger over time. Some have found it helpful to pray, meditate, listen to music, or journal. Take a few minutes right now and ask Spirit to speak to you. In the stillness of the moment, you may be led to call someone, your phone may ring, you may remember something long forgotten, or you may receive an email or text with the answer that you seek or a message that you need. As you open yourself up to guidance, remember it will come in many forms and from many directions, such as TV, radio, nature, conversations, this podcast. Opportunities and possibilities will seem to come out of nowhere. Chance meetings that we call coincidences will happen more frequently and ideas will pop right into your mind. I encourage you to take a few moments each day throughout the day. Be still and listen. When you are stuck, confused, or unsure, be still and allow Spirit to guide you and direct you. At first, it may seem awkward and you may feel silly, but with practice, this regular personal timeout or PTO will become a natural part of your life experience. God bless and live by the Spirit.
That's a word. Because let me tell you, that's what I had to do. I had to be still. God said, you hip surgery because you not listening.
Mm-hmm.
Go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning that, Dr. Walls. I
Yes.
be still. I'm being still. I got to figure out, okay, what am I going to eat? I got to do
Mhm.
laundry. I got,
Just be still. That means even still your mind. And that's where a lot of people have challenges. And they, right? Still your body, still your mind. You can feel your energy popping off inside of you, right? Learn to control that and literally just be still, whether it be 1 minute, just focus on your breathing, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. We can do it right now. We take 1 minute. All right, y'all. Y'all said, what in the world type of interview is this? Girl, it's a lesson. She make me do this. She be wanting this. She be asking me, how you do that? How you do that? Here you go. Okay. She just set y'all up for called it an interview so we could do this. She ain't slick. Look. All right, y'all. As long as you're not driving, you can close your eyes. I'm going to set my timer for 1 minute and we're just going to get back to ourselves. So let's inhale through our nose, exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Inhale and exhale. This time, as you inhale, hold your breath. 1, 2, 3. and exhale. And let's inhale again. 1, 2, 3. And exhale. And open up your eyes. And there's 1 minute. Legit.
Good.
How you feel?
That was good.
You don't believe me? It went over a little before I pushed stop, but
That was good.
yeah.
Like refreshed.
Mm-hmm. It
This
doesn't
is a
take
trick.
long. What'd you say?
This is a trick to write another book.
Yeah. So, what books do you have on the horizon?
Oh, Father. We have another book of Loving the Skin That You're In. Another
Mm-hmm.
interactive children's book that should be coming out soon.
Fantastic.
Yes. And who knows what's coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Still obedient, and we'll see what happens next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So now tell us before we go, believe it or not, we're at the 7 o'clock hour. Can you believe an hour has gone by that quickly? That so now tell people about you have this fantastic event coming up on April 27th that
Yes.
is free to the public.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just for people in Pennsylvania. So you can come from all over the world to attend this fantastic event for men and women. Do tell.
Yes, all about Cancer and Wellness Expo,
Mhm.
April 27th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Free HIV testing, free BEXA screening, which is a breast or chest screening,
Mhm.
voter registration, yoga, food, mocktails, no alcohol mocktails,
Mhm.
a 30-minute documentary panel discussion with
Mhm.
survivors, thrivers,
Yes.
and medical professionals, a DJ, nothing but love and
Yes.
wellness. And
Yes.
then hopefully what you step away with is knowing your personal risk,
Mhm.
lowering that risk,
Mhm.
living
Mhm.
a life of that's full of wellness, but not keeping that information with you, bringing it to your community. Because
Yeah.
the idea is that if we want to take this sting out of cancer, all cancers, and
Mhm.
we're going to do it.
Mhm. And let me say this, the machine that will be used to detect any abnormalities,
Mhm.
tell them about this because this is a very unique machine and why it's so important because there's different densities.
Yes.
Go ahead.
This technology is amazing. Normally, when you get a 3D mammogram or sometimes an ultrasound, the image is very cloudy because you have dense breasts, dense tissue, which means when the radiographer looks at your image, they cannot deny or confirm if you have any abnormalities or cancer or malignancies or nothing. So what makes BEXA super important and fascinating is not only is it's not a big machine, it's the size of a mouse,
A
computer mouse.
computer mouse, y'all, not a little rodent, not one of them.
Oh,
A
it's
computer
not
mouse.
a computer mouse, but it does not matter with the density at all. Density does not matter, which is huge for not only young women and men, but for men and women of color because we typically have dense breast tissue. And men, yes, you have breast tissue. I can call it chest tissue, but you still have the tissue. So it's just looking for the abnormalities. Density does not matter. And so it's certainly fantastic to get the screening done because you're able to see if something's there or if something's not there.
That's right. And I mean, there's so many things fabulous about this event. It is free. It is in Manayunk,
Yes,
right off of 76.
it is. Yes, the MQ Factory. Yep.
All right. So the MQ Factory, what time?
10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can stop in whenever.
We got a full day of fun. You do not have to have insurance.
Do not, no money, no nothing. Just come in.
You don't have to be a Pennsylvania resident. You come in, you get the information. This machine is not something that can be found just anywhere. So, this is an opportunity to be informed and get a clearer picture for some people who may have been scared to go get a traditional mammogram and so forth. This is an opportunity of a first step. A lot of cancer is preventative in the sense of it's treatable. Let me say right. It's treatable, and
Mhm.
it's important to catch it early on.
You got it.
Okay. So
Yes.
we want to make sure we're doing that. So this is a proactive step in your overall health care. We know that physical health impacts emotional and mental health,
Absolutely.
right? All of it's interconnected. So this is a way to take a look at your health and have some information that you can take to your doctor. This is you partnering with other healthcare people for your overall health and well-being. Go ahead, Dr. Nia. What else you want to add?
You did it. You listen. Vaccine need to pay you.
Look, I'm here for it. So,
Listen, come save your life. Just
right,
come
just
as
come
you
on,
are,
come on.
and as you come as you are, you're going to be transformed
Yes.
into a better, amazing person.
A version of yourself,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And the other thing is men and women. And we point that out because a lot of times breast cancer, people are only thinking about it as a female situation, but numbers, please,
Yep.
men to women.
Yep. 1 in 8 women are being diagnosed with breast cancer. 1 in 400 men are being diagnosed with breast cancer. So it's a bigger number, but still can happen.
It still can happen.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So it is important. So it's a tremendous opportunity. So I know the flyer was just recently done.
Yes.
So I will start posting and promoting that on my pages as well. If you have not joined Ask Dr. Walls 525 on YouTube, please be sure to come over and subscribe and do that. We will definitely have Dr. Nia on again as even as we get closer to the event. But you can see we already got so much to talk about. Um, so to promote it some more, as I mentioned, I have Carol Brown coming on Friday on the Planner's Knowledge Vodcast, and she'll be talking about Harriet Tubman and leadership skills in Harriet Tubman. Yeah, really incredible. She has a program for adults, but also for teens.
That's
She has
amazing.
these beautiful boxes, and that may be something I probably need to connect y'all because maybe we can get some of her boxes. Yeah, they're really incredible. There's all types of lovely items in her boxes. So be sure to check that out. Also, be sure to get Love Thy Neighbor. And where can people purchase Love Thy Neighbor?
Where you can get anything, Amazon. Amazon.
Y'all go to Amazon and get Love Thy Neighbor. At the event on the 27th, will you be selling books that day? Selling
I
and
didn't
or
think about
signing?
it. Sure. See,
Okay.
come on, Dr. Walsh. You
Yeah.
coming with the gems.
Come on, y'all. We got to get her. And she'll know I'm getting ready to recruit her. We're going to do another event probably before that one. So you
Do it.
can get some books from her then as well. But these are great. And what's the price point on the books?
$6.99.
Come on, y'all. Y'all know y'all can buy some books and pass them out to people. 6.99. Y'all go right on over there to Amazon, put in Love Thy Neighbor, Dr. Nia Bailey. Send some people some copies of Love Thy Neighbor so that they know how to love thy neighbor.
There we
So
go.
and keep the smiley effect happening.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right. Well, Dr. Bailey, as always, it is always a pleasure to interact with you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I
You're welcome. Oh, you are welcome. And I appreciate you as well.
appreciate
All
you.
right, y'all. So check me out on Friday. And thanks to Dr. Bailey, yours truly will be on WURD this upcoming Monday on Dr. Martin Luther King Day. So you can check me out there. That'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I'll be talking about leadership,
Mhm.
um, life, and all good things like that. So be sure to check that out too. All right, until we meet again, as always, God bless and continue to live your greatest life. See you soon.